Hey, this is John Bokenkamp. You are listening to the Blacklist Exposed on Golden Spiral Media.
This week, we help bridge the gap to the April 7th return of the Blacklist on NBC. Welcome to the Blacklist Exposed. I am Agent Troy Heinrichs.
And I am Agent Aaron Peterson. And on today's 50th episode with Troy and I, this is the 50th episode of Blacklist Exposed we have done together. We're going to talk to the man of few words, Dembe himself. That's right, Hisham is here. So in theory, this should be a pretty quick show since he doesn't say a whole lot. Show notes and other intel for this episode of The Blacklist Exposed can be found at theblacklistexposed.com. All right, before we get to the episode with Hisham, if you have been missing us jabbering on these past few weeks, we want to give you a quick update on us. Troy, what have you been doing?
Well, I've been actually watching a pretty nice program over on Hulu, of all places. They dropped some coin and have their first kind of original big drama series, 11/22/63. You've heard us play the podcast promo a few times before we went on the break. It's going on its 6th episode at the time of this recording. Really, really exciting stuff so far. So we've got a podcast here on Golden Spiral Media. That's 11/22/63podcast.com. I do that with one of my other longtime co-hosts, Wayne Henderson. Just been a really, really fun time doing that podcast. I hope you check it out. It is a limited event series, so get your 2-week free trial, binge it all at once in about 2 weeks when it's over, and then you can check out the podcast.
Sounds exciting.
This is an exciting time of the year for you, right? It's about South by Southwest time, I do believe.
I just got back, man. So if I sound a little out of it, that's what I am. I am super tired. Super tired. It is a long event. I don't think a lot of people even know what South by Southwest is. If you've never been, it is a film festival. And they actually, it's like 3 things. It's a film festival, it's a music festival, and interactive media festival. So they have like current technology and that sort of thing. And but mostly I go there because the Hollywood Outsider, the website that I have, we do the podcast and we have reviews and everything. We go there as press. So we review the movies that are there. And I just got back.
See anything good while you were there?
Yeah, I saw a lot of good things. You go to the Hollywood Outsider probably over the next week, and that episode will be up where I talk about all of them. So definitely check that out. But specifically in relation to the Blacklist Exposed, I saw Amir Arson's movie.
Oh, how was that?
It was really good. It's called Before the Sun Explodes, and it's funny because Amir is actually, I mean, he's billed as he's the and actor, which usually means he has a prominent role, but it's a small role. You know, we have all the actors and it says, and Amir Arson. So he's in there, but it's very small. I mean, it's maybe 5 minutes total, the whole movie. It really centers around a comedian who is basically thrown out of the house by his wife. He has a bad set, ends up talking to a female comedian played by Sarah Butler, who was in I Spit on Your Grave. And then they end up going back to her place, and then the night kind of carries on in a before sunset kind of way. If you've ever seen that movie, you know what I mean. But there's a little bit of there's a dark twist to it, which I'm not about to say. But it's a really good movie, really solid film, and I had a really good time with it.
So did you picture Amir as a Ram, or was he able to come across as somebody different?
No, man, he's totally different. He drops the F-bomb at least 3 or 4 times, and yeah, he's a little bit wacky. Maybe a little bit wacko. I don't know. I don't want to spoil it. I'm really big on not spoiling stuff. If you listen to the show, you already know that. But I just don't like giving that stuff away. And there is a really cool twist to the movie, and his character kind of plays into that, so I don't really want to say too much. You want to hear a cool South by Southwest story, though, while I was there?
Sure.
Okay, how these screenings work is you have movies showing all over the city of Austin, Texas, like throughout the week, right? And my daughter is a huge Sarah Butler fan because there's a movie she did called I Spit on Your Grave. It's a really dark revenge movie. A woman is attacked and violated, and then she goes for revenge against the people that hurt her, right? It's a really sadistic movie. It's really violent. So I imagine you haven't seen it, right, Troy?
I have not seen it.
Okay. My daughter's a big fan. My daughter she just hit her 20s, so she's adult, so it's not like she's a little kid. But I go to this movie because I know Sarah Butler's in it. And my intent, even though as press we're not really supposed to go ask for pictures or anything, but it was a big deal to my daughter. So I'm like, I'll go see this movie because I'll ask her for a picture and get it for my daughter. It'll mean a lot to her. So I go to the screening, and then it turns out that it's Amir's film. I saw that before I went in. So I'm like, hey, I win on 2 counts. I can also mention it on the Blacklist Exposed, and I can also go get this for my daughter. So after the movie, and I'm somebody that I don't get starstruck. To me, actors are just like people. They're no different. I've always told you I'm more of a behind-the-scenes kind of guy. Like, I get more enamored with directors and writers than I do with actors. It's just how I'm wired. So I go up to Sarah Butler after the movie and just to ask if I can get a picture for my daughter to make her day, right? So I go up and I wait for her. She's a very, very nice woman. And I approach her and I just try to tell her that my daughter's a big fan of I Spit on Your Grave. And then I don't think she meant it intentionally. But she looks at me and she goes, oh, that's good. And, and just everything in her face said, how old is your child? Because shame on you for letting your child watch that movie. As soon as I said that my daughter's a big fan, just look on her face was sheer terror. Like, who would let their child watch that movie? Because it's a very, very violent film.
Because she's basically shaming you 2 ways, right? She's shaming you because she thinks that your child is like 10 because you're not much older than I am, or she's shaming you because you had a child so young in your life.
Yeah, I think it's more of because you would let your young child watch that movie. And I don't know if she intentionally, I'm sure she did not, because she seems like a very nice person, but I totally froze up. I didn't know what to say at that point. Is what I came across as. I probably came across as like some crazy fanboy, which I'm totally not. And I just had to leave. I'm like, very nice meeting you. I got to go. Didn't get the picture for my daughter. I felt like an idiot. Absolute idiot. So there you go. So the next time somebody feels weird about some star experience they have, just know I did it worse. Don't feel bad.
And really what this all meant was that Aaron was actually the star. His daughter had nothing to do with it, and he couldn't come up with a really good line.
Something. I felt so bad. But I told my daughter, and she thought that was funny. I'm like, oh, guess what? You don't get your picture. And your dad was humiliated. And I think she really thought it was worth it just for my embarrassment.
That's what parents are for, to embarrass their kids.
I think so. So what else is going on, Trey? I mean, we've got this episode. And for those that aren't aware of how this worked, is we did a Blab event, which Blab is a interactive. How would you describe it? I guess.
Well, if you're familiar with like video chat, it's a way for 4 people to video chat at the same time, while a bunch of 100 others actually chat in like an open communication room where they can ask questions of the people that are in the video, et cetera, et cetera. Rory actually has been doing pre-show and post-show blabs for before and after the Blacklist on Thursday nights over at theblacklistnbc.com/live. If you go over there, find the live page, then you can go ahead and check those out when they happen. So that's kind of what spawned it. Is we did this blab event, got Hisham to come on and talk about Dembe and the character and his ability as a firefighter and his time in the Marine Corps, and just a really, really great conversation. And that kind of spawned into Rory wanting to do these pre and post shows for us. So that's really, really nice.
Yeah, and I do want to say this was recorded a while ago, and we kind of held it just so because we knew that there was a lull coming between the show where the show would be taking a bit of a break. And everybody, we're all avid Blacklist fans, so you got to get your fix. So we figured we'll drop this roughly in the middle of that blank slate, and that way you'll still have a little bit of a Blacklist fix. You can hear Dembe himself talk and kind of tell you his story. And let me tell you, there's a lot of people in the world that think they're heroic, and a lot of people look up to people that aren't really heroic. He feels very heroic to me in terms of, anybody that spends that long devoting their time to help others, I consider that heroic. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, 100%. And he spends his whole time on the scene being heroic for Red and in a way Liz at the same time. Right.
So real life, fictional life. The guy's a hero. You're also going to get a little bit of a surprise in the middle of the episode, so be sure to listen for that. It's a little bit of fun surprise for all the fans.
You all know him as Dembe, the man of a few words, but yet very powerful in his looks. Make sure that you listen to the whole thing because we have some great stuff even towards the end about his favorite football team. With that, let's talk to Mr. Hisham Tawfiq. Welcome, Hisham. Thanks for coming in. You guys just got done shooting today, did you not?
I didn't have to shoot today. I was off today.
Oh, that's really nice.
Yeah, that was cool. So I got to relax today.
So then you're actually getting up kind of late then for us. So hopefully you took a nap beforehand.
No, I didn't. I'm kind of used to it by now, though. So, I mean, it's easier than the first season. The first season, I wasn't getting to bed till midnight. So,
Yeah, memory serves. You were still doing the firefighting job in the first season, were you not?
yes, the first season was kind of nuts. It was a little crazy. This is a little bit of a walk in the park.
And top left joining us now is Aaron Peterson. He's the other host of the show.
Hey, Dembe.
Hey, what's up, man?
Not much. You're one of my favorites.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Yep. Get rid of everybody else. Just give you a bigger role. So what's new with you?
You know, just enjoying the retired life and just focusing on the show right now. So I'm really
The retired life? I got a question. A lot of people aren't familiar, fans are familiar, but a lot of people that are just tuning in might not be familiar. What did you do before the show? Because you're kind of like a modern hero. You're like a real world hero, not just a TV one.
Okay. What did I do before this show?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, tell them about your heroics.
I served in the Marine Corps for a couple of years. After the Marines, I was a correction officer at Sing Sing, which is one of the biggest maxi-max prisons in the state. And then after that, I joined the New York City Fire Department. And I just retired from that after 20. I actually worked 20 years, but I was able to get 22 years because they allowed me to buy a year of my Marine Corps time and a year of my state correction time and added to my pension. So I retired with 22 years.
That is pretty impressive. Can I ask what made you finally to say, I've done what I can. I've done as many fantastically heroic things in my life as I could, and now I want to go be an actor.
Well, I mean, I was always I was through all of that. I was always acting. You know, I was getting, started out doing background and extra work and then under 5 work and guest star work. So I was always like just climbing the ladder. And I think around my 17th year, I think 2013 is when I booked the Blacklist. So I had about 3 years I knew I wanted to get to my 20th year because that was just something I wanted to do. And it just got to the point where, I asked for this. And it was almost like, we ask for things, we dream about things. We say, if I do this, I'm going to quit, I'm going to retire. And it came. So for me not to accept this blessing, this dream that I asked for, not to accept it was kind of like I couldn't walk away from that. So, but it took me like 3 years, 2013, to say, okay, I'm gonna do it and start getting things in order. And the fear of leaving a job that I've worked for 20 years that I love doing, but also I had this passion for acting, and it just got to a point where juggling it was very hard. Wasn't spending that much time with my loved ones, my family, my son, and it just got to a point where I was like, okay, it's time to do it. Especially when I hit the 20-year mark, I was like, I got to take a chance and make the leap. I mean, it helped that they made me series regular too, but
we were excited. We saw that come up. We were like, yes.
And to get some listener questions here.
Yeah, let's go ahead and bring in Bill, coming in from Wisconsin.
What's up, Bill?
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing great.
Good. I would like to know who your favorite character on the show is besides, of course, Dembe.
Well, I mean, the crazy thing is, as you see, the Blacklist brings on so many amazing characters. I mean, Jellybean cracks me up. Mr. Brimley cracks me up. I have a lot of fun with Mr. Kaplan. I mean, it's hard to choose one person. It is extremely hard to keep a straight face when Brimley and Jellybean are doing their thing. It's very hard to keep a straight face.
So is there any truth to the rumor that Mr. Brimley is actually Jellybean's father? I've heard that, believe it.
It might not be too far.
I'd like to start it.
That's pretty funny.
I have to let them know that there's a rumor out there.
As much as we love you, we love us some jelly beans.
Yeah, he's a character. He's really a character. I love him.
Is he that much of a character off camera?
No, I mean off camera. He's I don't want to say serious, but we talk, we chat. When he does his scenes, it's like he just becomes alive, and it's like the simplest line once he delivers it, and he goes toe to toe with James Spader, and it's just hilarious watching that tennis match.
That's why we love him, because he's the only guy that can frustrate.
Exactly.
Now that Rustler's getting a little action, when are we going to get a little Dembe action for you there, huh?
Whoa, easy killer.
I mean, what do you mean action?
Well, action sequence. As we saw you rolling in on the golf cart to break up the Salomon execution of Liz and Red. See some more of that.
Well, that's up to the creators and the writers. I think I got to get a lot of that action because I wasn't teamed up with James. We were separated. So, I mean, you got to remember that the way my role was created is I was only supposed to do an episode. One episode turned into 2, turned into 3, and now season 3. So I think the creators are still trying to, I mean, we have a huge cast and everybody is interested in seeing all of these stories. So I think they really have a great problem on their hand, which is trying to, show a slice of everybody's life. And my role wasn't originally written into the script. So I think now they're just trying to figure out how to get some more Dembe storylines and find some time to put them in. So I'm hopeful and I'm looking forward to whatever can happen in the future. But I was very excited about the first half of the third season it gave me to do.
Well, we love you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And thanks, Bill. Thanks for coming out. I'm going to free up this spot for someone to come on in, and then we'll keep rotating through. Good to see you, Bill, face-to-face. And thanks for listening to the podcast, and thanks for watching the show.
Thank you, Bill.
You're welcome.
I got a question in terms of fan reaction. When you're walking on the street, does anybody ever run up to you and just give you a job? Like, hey, I got a guy I need to whack? That kind of thing?
No, I think, because for so many years I've walked the street, I take the train. I still consider myself kind of a regular guy. So, and I still do those type of things. So I think some people are kind of surprised when they see me. You're not that guy. It's always you look like that guy, not you're that guy. For the most part, people are not really sure if I am that person. And then when I tell them, some people still don't believe me. It's like, no, you're not. And I kind of have to pull out my Dembe card or something and prove it.
What is the Dembe card? You start
just stare at them real quick. Like.
Yeah, because then they don't hear the accent. So it takes a couple of minutes for them to believe it's me. And then when it is, it's like they're just in awe, surprised, and then, express their love for the show.
You want to take some questions from the board at all?
Absolutely.
Let's see. So first question that comes up, I think, is from Brandy. Are you surprised by the fan reaction and acceptance towards Dembe? I mean, the character barely spoke 3 words the first season.
Yes, I was really surprised. I think, especially during the first season, after they, kept calling me back for the episode. Then when I did, I think it was episode 9, the Angelo Garrett 2-part series, when Outside the Box. That was like really my first kind of action or a speaking role in the show. And I think that was a turning point, but I still didn't see it. And it was then, I was always very active on social media. And then when I started to see the buzz after that episode, I was like, okay, this is turning into something. Mm-hmm. But I still really didn't. As an actor, I like to believe in myself and say I'm great, and but I still didn't really understand what I was bringing to the show. Not saying anything. It was a little frustrating in the beginning, but also I was just excited because originally I wasn't supposed to be there. So I was just happy to be on the show, and then after a while, I was like, okay, I want to say something, and so it was a struggle for me. It was very hard to kind of understand why everybody loved the character. But then I started to fall in love with not saying anything and really just being comfortable and finding the power in stillness and being able to bring something to the show without saying anything. And then that just became a whole different technique and something to master that I just started working on.
Yeah, and I got to say, it's very impressive to have because you're very stoic in your presentation. You don't get a ton of dialogue, but you're not Steven Seagal. I mean, you actually have some heart in your performance, and it comes across even when you're not having a monologue. So that's saying something.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Troy, what's next?
I was going to bring in Andrew, but he just jumped out. So let's go ahead with Rory.
You scared him.
Hey, guys.
Hey, what's up?
How are you? First, I want to say thank you, Hisham, for your service. I grew up in New York, so I appreciate everything that you've done as far as your fire department. Couple of questions, quick. What's it like, working with someone like James Spader? And when these great guys, Troy and Aaron, had spoken to Daniel Knopf, he had said that he takes a vested interest in Dembe's character. How much is he involved with you in plotting, going forward with your character and the development of it?
I would have to start from the beginning. So from the beginning, they did the pilot. I wasn't in the pilot. I came on for after it got picked up. And my first introduction to James was we probably had about a 45-minute conversation before our first scene that I ever shot. And it was really just about who I was as a person. And then him explaining to me how he wanted, he expressed to the creators that he wanted a team. And that's where Dembe and Lulu came from, where he didn't feel comfortable ripping and running without some soldiers by his side. So it's actually his idea to have my character around. And then he just expressed to me, he told me a story about a celebrity friend of his who had a bodyguard who didn't say anything at all, wasn't physically scary, muscular, or anything, but everybody knew that if you messed with him, it was lights out. So he kind of told me from the beginning that that's kind of what he wanted in this character. He wanted this power, this truth, this stillness. And we just had a lot of talks about who I was as a person, about books, about politics, about education. I mean, we talked about everything on the first day. And we still continue to talk just about personal things, not really professional things. And from there, it grew. And I remember, the first scene I had with him outside the box was almost easy for me because I speak Arabic. So, that was easy. My hardest scene with him was when I started, there was another scene. He's very intimidating. So when you look into his eyes to do a scene, and then all of a sudden it started to catch up with me like, oh, snap, I'm with James Spader. And doing a scene with him and kind of make you forget your lines and everything just starts flying out of your head. And it was very nerve-wracking at the beginning. It took a while for me to finally trust that I was the right person for the job and that if he wanted me there, then I was definitely the right person for the job. And then I found out later that he was executive producer. It wasn't really broadcasted in season 1. So it's kind of a tricky thing because he was executive producer, so he also had a hand in my character. And then I'm doing scenes with him, so I'm nervous about not doing it right because I don't want to get the axe or anything. So I was in a weird position, but the man is just an extraordinary actor, an extraordinary human being. And at times, it's just being in awe of him can just make you just extremely nervous. And it took me a while to get over that. And I'm still in awe because he's an amazing dude, amazing dude. And I'm just now every day I go to work, I'm looking at him and I learn a lot. I learn, I watch him, I steal from him. And and it's been an amazing. And I think the relationship that you see on screen is from that seed he planted on day one. You know, there's a lot of A-list actors that just, hey, how you doing? Okay. And they walk away. They don't even have to talk to you. They don't have to sit next to you. Nothing. But he makes an attempt every day to talk to me about how I'm doing, when you're going to retire, how's the job, how's your back, how's your son. You know, I mean, and it's really a vested interest. And I think that really helps our relationship on set.
So it doesn't feel like small talk. It feels like someone genuinely cares about it.
Absolutely.
Makes a difference.
So do you think that comes across with the closeness of the crew and how it's, you know, the show comes across that everybody is so close and has such a bond?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that really has effect on it.
Yeah, I mean, I've been on some sets before where, like I said, everybody's kind of scattered. On this set, we call it the Blacklist family. Everybody's really invested in each other. I mean, guys have come to my retirement party. I've gone in to see guys' plays. I've gone to lunches. Megan had a Super Bowl party at her house. The cast was there. It's really like a family atmosphere. A loving family atmosphere.
Well, I have to say, it really is powerful how you come across without having to say much. Mm-hmm. But one of my favorite episodes is the Mombasa Cartel because we got your backstory, you know, and it showed so much of why your character is the way you are, you know, and, you know, the affection you truly have for Red and he has for you, which he doesn't really have much for many people.
Yes.
You know, in general, except for you.
Yes. Yeah, that was I mean, you know, again, watching him, I remember vividly that scene, just him delivering those lines. And, you know, you shoot a scene 3 or 4 times. And every time he said those lines, it sank in deeper and deeper. And, you know, sometimes I can hear him kind of getting choked up emotionally. It triggers something in me. That's why they do chemistry tests. I mean, you know, sometimes you get 2 people together. I think we just have great chemistry, and it's going to continue to just pop.
Why don't you elaborate on that? Because a lot of people don't know what that means when you say chemistry tests in television.
Well, a lot of times, I mean, the audition process is crazy. You go in for audition, you come back, then they say, okay, the executive producers want to see you. You come back again. Then they say, you come back like 8 times. Once they show some interest. Then if you're lucky and they really like you, you do a chemistry test. So like say if James Spader, they know he's the lead character. So now they want to see how you guys click in a scene. And that's something that you can't buy. It's almost like, you know, if you see a girl or a guy you're attracted to and there's chemistry there. So you get in the room with that actor and they just want to see what type of energy you guys have. Even though you're doing the scene, there's also something that's not in the scene that's in the room of doing that scene. And that's the chemistry, that's the energy, that's the spirit, that's the connection. And they want to see what type of sparks come out of that connection. If it's flat, you might have had a great audition, but they're going to be like, you know what, we just I don't have chemistry with them. So they bring in somebody else and have that chemistry and you do a good job with the audition. That's usually when you get the gig.
Just want to say thank you for everything that you do for us and the entertainment you give us every week. And we look forward to your character's development because I have a feeling there will be more.
But I'm truly thankful for you and the rest of the fans. Like I said, I was only supposed to do 1 episode, and I believe because of the outpouring of love and support from my fan base that they made me a series regular. So I'm forever grateful.
I've been touting you before. It was cool.
Thanks, Rory.
Thanks, guys.
You bet. We'll see you later.
What's next, Troy?
Go ahead and ask one of the questions there on the left-hand side there.
At Big Hound Dog, do the actors and or employees of the show read Facebook groups?
I peek into the Facebook groups every once in a while. I do.
Is that stressful? Because I assume it's not all wonderful.
No, for the most part, it is. I would have to say, you know, as actors, they always tell you, don't read the reviews, don't read the line, it's going to tear you apart. But I guess I come from, you know, I didn't go the traditional acting route. So I do peek in and look at that stuff. And for the most part, I see all positive stuff. Yeah, I think one time, I chatted on something and then I got like a whole bunch of requests on my personal Facebook. So that's why I tend not to respond or like stuff, but I do peek in from time to time and look at Facebook groups.
Yeah, that's actually important for people to remember. So if you get on I'm angry about something, remember the actor might actually listen to it.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
They have feelings too.
Yes.
All right, we got Myra coming in.
Hey, Myra.
I just wanted to know, first of all, thank you, Hisham. You are awesome on the show.
Thank you.
And could you tell us if Dembe knows the connection between Red and Liz?
Dembe knows, but Hisham doesn't know.
Oh.
Well played.
Well, thank you. I think you're awesome. And keep up the great work.
Thank you. I appreciate the support.
Well, thanks, Myra.
You're
nice
welcome.
to meet you.
Very nice. Thank you, Myra.
Thank you.
Hey, at least she didn't ask you what the connection was. So she smartly asked that.
Yeah.
How often do you get asked that? Like, what's the connection? Like, you're going to tell people.
I go out there, like, especially in the second season, they're like, is he a father? You know he's a father. Da, 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 da. And I'm like, honestly, I really don't know. I don't. The creators do a great job of keeping everything in the dark, so I have no clue. I got to make up stuff.
Have you ever heard Troy's stupid theory about him being Liz's mom?
No.
There you go. Somebody actually hasn't heard this ridiculous story.
Yeah, so it kind of started because John Bokenkamp always writes for strong female leads. And so the obvious ploy was, it kind of started because Kiefer Sutherland was originally going to be Red and then turn the role down to do 24. So we all kind of joked, like, wouldn't it be great if Red was like an imposter and you pulled off like the Scooby mask at the end? And then I kind of started putting two and two together with a lot of the lines that Red has about, the plastic surgery, and Naomi was like, you look a little bit different. Can I eat a peach? And and then the whole Jilly scene with, with Jilly, with the King of the Highway.
That's a hell of a stretch.
Thank you.
I said, it'd be great. It'd be a great twist. He just pulls it off at the end. Scooby
it wouldn't.
No, that puts Dembe in a weird position.
Yeah. So what is the question you get asked most, other than the obvious, are they connected and whatnot?
Tell wrestler I love him.
Really?
Actually, I was at a football game last week, and somebody actually gave me their number and wanted me to give it to Tom. I'm like, at first you're like, I giggle again, but she was like really serious. I was like, okay, you got to stop now.
Did you remind her his name's Ryan?
But for the most part, most of the questions are just for season 2, it was mostly as Red the dad. For season 3 now, it's when you're going to kick Mr. Solomon's butt. That's all I hear right now.
Yeah, that's actually somebody at Red's Blacklist just asked that. At the end of this past episode, Dembe gives Salomon a look as they exchange places in the holding cell, and I'm curious if that was a look like you were going where you deserve to be, or those bars won't keep you safe from me after what you did to my family.
Yeah, I don't want to give away too much.
No, don't get in trouble. It's not worth it.
Yeah, I won't. Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with that. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out.
That means he can't tell it. Brandy, my twins are great. I hope that means children, because that could go either way. How early before shooting do you receive the script?
Well, season 3 is much better. I think season 3, I get the script maybe a week before we started shooting. But season 1 and season 2, I think one of the scripts leaked online. So we weren't getting scripts until 2 or 3 days before we started shooting it. This is the first season where I'm getting the script at least a week before we even shoot it.
That's pretty exciting. Troy?
I think we want to know the most, like, how do they make you indestructible on the show? Because you're the only guy that's not ducking for cover. because Tom's hiding behind a thing, Red's hiding behind a thing. You're just out there, two guns blazing, and just shoot right at me, and bullets just go right through you for some reason.
Well, you know what? I made a choice. I forgot what scene. I want to say my first shootout was the scene where we were in a garage with some German guys. It was me, Tom, Wrestler, and Red, and we all get out, and the shootout happens. And I remember doing that scene that I was like, Dembe can't duck behind the car. It's like, that's not going to look good. I mean, either he gets shot or he doesn't. But I was like, I'm not going to be ducking behind cars and running behind anything. So I made a choice from that point forward, anytime I did a shootout scene, unless directed otherwise, that I was just going to do whatever I had to do and act like the bullets couldn't hurt me. The only scene I think I did do where I had to duck was where I think they raided a warehouse, and when they captured Red, and that's when it was like 50 guys storming this warehouse, and I had no choice but to hide behind this wall because I was just outgunned. But for the most part, it's a personal choice not to duck down or do anything like that. I just think Dembe wouldn't do it.
Uh-oh, the big man, I believe, is in the room. Mr. Bokenkamp has joined the chat.
Get out. You better not say anything stupid right now.
Are you there?
Hey, John.
Yes.
We can see you. How are you, John?
Are you jogging?
Wait a minute, Hisham?
Yeah, what's up, John?
How you doing?
I'm doing well, man.
Which means he's probably going to check on you to make sure you didn't say anything. That's pretty funny.
No,
yes.
There we are. Hey, John.
Hey, guys.
How are you?
What are you doing?
I'm great. What is this? This is like a chat thing? What is happening?
Ask Troy. I don't know.
But like a four-way screen and then other people can listen in, or what happens?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not wearing any pants.
Old school chat.
Fantastic.
Old school chat on the right-hand side. We've had 312 people already stop by this evening, 34 currently watching now. Talking to Hisham.
Excellent.
It's awesome.
Wow, very cool.
So for everybody that doesn't know in the chat room, John Bokenkamp, creator of the show, he is like the god, right? And then he gets
that's terrifying.
Great stuff for Hisham to actually work on and have a job and acting and stuff. So ask away. We got John for probably 5-10 minutes. So whatever.
Yeah, are you jogging?
Where am I?
Are you jogging?
No. Yes, I am. I'm on a treadmill. I'm sorry. I'll try to hold still. I just got home. And my wife is going to be furious with me that I'm already late. My mother-in-law's here, and I'm supposed to go see everyone. But I couldn't resist. I wanted to see what was going on, So this is very cool.
This is very cool.
I have to ask, Hisham, what's going on with the shoulder? Fixed up?
It's doing much better. I had therapy today. It's going to be, it's much better.
Is it a rotator cuff?
Yeah.
I had that. That's brutal.
Did you?
I did. I had it years ago. I had my rotator cuff surgery, and it was hard.
Yeah.
What happened? Were you playing with Peyton Manning? Or what?
He was probably doing something super athletic and snowboarding or something cool like that. I was, you know what? Honestly, this is embarrassing. Pepito was his nickname in Spanish class. We all had like these names, and he rolled over me, and I think I dislocated my shoulder. So my only real injury was from a theater accident. It's not very manly.
That's not as manly as his sounds. No.
Well, you don't really need the shoulder though, Hisham, because you were like shot in the stomach. You got your face beat in, and you still came in guns blazing with 2 in each hand and took out everybody without having to aim.
We make it work.
Are there any questions for John before he goes, Troy?
I believe Neil is curious, John, if you can answer this, or maybe directionally, how many seasons do you think you have in the plan?
Oh, my God. I can barely see getting to the end of this season, the amount of work it is. I'm like, I mean, I don't know. It's that's a tricky question. I mean, like a sweet number to me is like in the 6 or 7 zone, but I that is far above my pay grade. I don't get to decide that.
I think the big thing that I think fans are really hoping for is that, how Lost was able to kind of dictate their end game. We're like so into this mythology now with, Red and the relationship and the Cabal and what happened to his family and all that jazz. It'd be great to know that you guys are able to dictate to Sony and the network, that you have an end game in mind and they let you actually play that out.
Yeah, I would love to identify. I would love to know as we will have to know as we're getting close to the end because there are answers that will have to be, resolved in good time, and we have to see that runway coming.
Jen from our Blacklist fan site, our partner here, said, "Who was the inspiration for Raymond Red Reddington?"
The inspiration, I don't know. I have a good friend named Chris Raymond who is the inspiration for the Namesake. Everyone just went black. Did I go into a hole?
Yes. No, you didn't. You're fine.
You're good.
You're there. Okay, good. But no, the inspiration. No, there wasn't like a specific criminal. There was talk of Whitey Bulger early on, that he was a guy who had a relationship with the FBI. But, he was more of kind of a tough guy, mobster kind of guy, Yeah. And, I think that relationship might have been a little bit more about survival, whereas I think Red's is about a bit of a different end game and a larger plan. So, but that, there were elements of his story in the conception of the character, but hopefully it's a little bigger than that.
Did you have anything else, Troy? Troy's the boss here.
Thanks a lot for all the support from Suzanne. Said we actually just added a music selection site to the Blacklist fan site for you. So we're going to be featuring some of the artists.
Oh, sweet.
Is that like a Spotify list? Does Dembe have a Spotify one? I don't remember if he has one. Do you have one, Hisham?
Absolutely, yeah.
God,
yeah, it's pretty badass. Yeah, you've got a great one. And you came up with that one, right, Hisham?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, how did that work?
Most of the actors did. There were like one or two who either didn't get back or were short on time or shooting or something. But in fact, I was looking at Susan, Mr. Kaplan's Spotify playlist last night because I'm trying to find a song for the opening of an episode that features her, and I was like, what would Mr. Kaplan be listening to? She wears this little. We find out that she wears this little cassette tape recorder, and earphones, not like an iPod or anything like that, but she listens to like cassette tapes. And I was like, what would be on her playlist? So I went to her Spotify and found some good stuff. But yeah, yours was pretty good.
We had Amir on a couple weeks ago. We asked him, now, when you curated the playlist, Hisham, did you do it based on music you like, or did you curate it based on music that you assumed Dembe would like as his character?
Most of the songs were songs that I liked, and then there was 3 or 4 songs that I picked that I thought that would fit Dembe's character.
Give me one of the artists on that one.
There's a song by Fela.
I don't know who that is.
I'm writing that.
Now I have to look it up.
I know.
Thank you.
Of course, everybody wants to know, when are we going to find out about Red and Liz? John's not going to answer that one.
So stop asking that.
Yeah. That may be a little
wild. You should just make stuff up. Like, give people about 12 different options, and really the answer isn't in there.
Yeah, there are a lot of versions of what that could be, but I think we're a little ways away from that yet.
I think Red and Dembe are related, and ultimately this is an end game somewhere, something to do with that. Make that happen. Like Liz, at the end of it, Liz isn't even relevant.
I'm seeing, so let me ask you this. So I see all these questions at the bottom of this thing. So people are like typing in stuff, right?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so here's, somebody says like, how early before shooting do you receive the script? Hisham, does that mess with you? Because you often get stuff like sometimes not usually the day of, but it's late. Do you see ripple effects of that? Because we're trying as fast as we can, but it gets ugly.
I was just saying that I think season 1 they came really late, but I think season 3 you guys have been getting it. I've been getting the scripts at least like a week before we shoot it.
Yeah, that's a long time too.
Yeah.
What is the normal time?
Well, I don't know. We turned in the script for 15. I mean, 15 start shooting on Monday, I think, and you guys have had the script for probably, I don't know, 5 days maybe, and we're going to do some rewrites on it tomorrow. But but yeah, it's there were times certainly in the first season and then second season where you wouldn't get a script sometimes until, I remember the first season there was an episode where we were prepping and getting ready to shoot and finding all the locations and stuff off of an outline. Now, I don't think the script existed until about 3 days before we shot. So that's we haven't been doing a lot of that recently. That's good. I can only imagine that would be difficult trying to figure out, lines and blocking and all of that you guys are dealing with there and getting pages so late.
Oh, this is a fun question. Robin Beer wants to know, do you watch all the episodes yourself or only the ones you're in, Hisham?
I watch them all.
I'm just checking because, some actors, got their ego going and they're just like, I'm not in. I'm going to go get a latte.
I'm addicted.
I don't think there are many that you're not in, are there?
I'm addicted to the whole Twitter party anyway on Thursday night. So I love watching them and interacting with the fans. So I watch them all.
That's cool. Are there actors that really just won't watch it if they're not in it, John?
I don't think so.
Not in your show, obviously. I mean, in other shows.
I don't know. I think to me it's sort of like seeing a kid off to college, or you live with the script. You have the idea, and then there's the script, and then it's torture trying to get it made, and then there's, production and editing and all of that. Sorry, I put that light behind my head, and it's a long process to sort of see it done. It's fun to watch it live. Yeah. That's what I love about the Twitter stuff and watching it with fans and stuff, watching how people interact and picking up on little clues, little Easter eggs, little, the guessing game of what's going to happen next. That's part of the joy of watching it. And then once that's done, then you can kind of move on to the next one. That's how I feel about it anyway.
Yeah. Also a great thing too. As for me as an actor, what I fell in love with now is just seeing how it goes from the script to the TV. So I love seeing choices that actors make, how they edit it, how the story is told, and especially if you're interested, down the line in directing and writing and things like that. So whether I'm in it or not, I'm watching it also for those reasons also.
Hisham, Neil Ottenstein wants to know, did Hisham learn of Dembe's origin before it was in the script?
Well, I kind of did a backstory before I went to my audition. I know it was an improv, so I had to kind of make up Dembe's backstory, and it kind of turned out to be the same backstory that was revealed as far as the relationship.
Interesting.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's hard. You guys are filling in a lot of gaps. A lot of questions that we're still, trying to answer. And, you get Hisham, you say that one of the joys is like watching how it all comes together. It's the same thing for us. There's little looks and little moments that are not scripted. And I often tell people that, New York makes the scripts look good. We write a script the best we can. And then you come back and you see, oh, wow, either they blew that up bigger than we thought and we're reading about it on the news. You guys blew something up in New York that upset people, or little moments with actors or the way sort of a little exchange or something that you can't script all the stuff that's happening. They really get into those scripts and sort of live them as they're shooting them. And so it is interesting to see it come back. We put the lines on paper and then they come back sort of full of life, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Cindy M. asks, I think this is for John. I've heard you say you already know the end game. Is that subject to change depending on what currently seems to be working for both the show and fans?
Well, yeah. Look, any of this could and could change. It's always it's an evolution, and it's sort of this weird living, breathing thing. But I hope it doesn't. Look, I'll put it this way: we're working around and with an idea and an origin story and an end game and all of that all the time. In the room every day. There are certain rules that we can't break, or certain things that we want to do that we go, well, we could do that, but that would blow up everything we've been aiming for. So, again, I don't know how you would be able to do a show. It's like a movie. I don't know how you write a movie without knowing how it's supposed to end. And I don't know how you would do a show like this without having some strong sense of what the direction is,
Ask the writers of Fantastic Four, because they did it.
I think a lot of people have done it. I haven't seen that, but I'll be sure to rent it now.
Yeah, get on that. It's fun. Troy?
Let's see. Neil wants to know, is it a 6-day shooting schedule, 10-day, or what per episode? And for it might be different for the two of you, right, John versus Hisham, because, John, you're obviously working in advance on what you need to do, and then Dembe, for you, it might be a day or 2 days, depending on how much you have per episode.
How many days do you shoot usually, Hisham?
Well, I think it's 10 days per episode, and I usually shoot between 6 and 8 days an episode.
Yeah, we do tandem, so we'll out of 10 days, we're shooting for 10 days on an episode, but of those 10 days, the 2 days at the beginning will be 2 episodes, and the 2 days at the end will be 2 episodes. So we're shooting episode 14 right now, and on the last 2 days of episode 14, they'll start shooting the first 2 days of episode 15. So a lot of time we're kind of shooting two episodes at a time. If Hisham and James are off doing a scene, then Diego and Megan might be doing a scene. We just got to stagger stuff so they're not all, so they're not in the same scenes together. Sometimes we have to pull people out of scenes. Specifically, they're like, look, can you take Samar out of this scene because we need her in, the previous episode.
I got a question from my son, actually, who doesn't really like to talk to me much. Just kidding. But John, he wants to know if it bothers you as a creator that James Spader isn't noticed more come award season.
I don't know. Not really. I mean, that would be cool. That would be nice. He's been nominated a couple times, too, and the show has. Our stunt coordinator, Court Hessler's won twice, right? I don't know if they were Emmys or Golden Globes, but he's won a couple times. I don't know. You kind of can't think about that. I mean, we're not doing it for the awards. We're doing it because we like the story and we like what we do. I like writing and I like seeing it come to life. So other people, the reaction to fans is far more important. If fans have something negative to say, that hurts far more than being dinged by not getting some kind of nomination.
Good question. Troy?
How do you guys feel about a spinoff with just Red and his crew? Just a show with just them. Dembe, Kaplan, Jellybean, and Red just going to town, taking out people.
Taking out people?
I feel like the real spinoff would be Aram and Dembe. They get like an apartment. You know what I mean? Sort of the odd couple,
It's like a sitcom?
Yeah, and Aram just couldn't stop talking, He'd probably make Dembe absolutely furious, and then finally Dembe would have to lay down the law and say, look, you gotta dial it back, or you ate my ice cream, you gotta keep your stuff on that side of the refrigerator, let's go on a workout. That, to me, would be a killer spinoff.
I could give him some girl advice.
I think that's right? Give him some tips, some dating advice. You guys like hanging out at the bar, kind of picking up girls,
I would watch this.
That would be amazing. Well, with that gold that I've just left you with, I'm going to go say hello to my mother-in-law and my wife and kids. And thank you, guys. Hisham, good to see you. Hopefully I'll find my way to New York soon and say hi. And hopefully I don't leave this camera on and just you guys can hear our whole dinner conversation. If I do, I'll hopefully try to figure out how to turn it off.
The internet won't repeat that at all.
Yeah, it'll be captivating, I'm sure. All right. Good night, guys.
Yeah, thanks for coming, John.
Take care. Thanks for stopping by.
Bye.
Hey, Hisham, are there any plans to incorporate your personal history, Marine history, firefighter history, or any of that into the character at all?
I have no clue. I think in a way it's already been done. I think they knew my backstory. So, I mean, as far as some of the action scenes they give me, they know I can handle it. I'm a physical guy. So a lot of the stuff, I think when they do write it, they already know that I'm capable of handling it.
Okay. Preston?
Hey, guys. How's it going? I just say hello to Dembe. I'm a big fan. I couldn't believe that you were on here.
Hey, what's up, Preston?
What's up, man?
I'm cool.
Can I ask a question? Do you mind me asking how many seasons do you guys have planned?
I have no clue. I know right now we just got slated for season 4. I think it all goes by the ratings and the higher ups.
Yeah, and it sounded like they had a plan for 6 to 7. John was just on mentioning that it's kind of like the sweet spot that John was talking about. So,
yeah,
6 to 7 is a sweet spot.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thanks, Preston.
Thanks, Preston. Nice to meet you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Let's see. There's so many questions we're trying to weed through.
Uh-huh.
Well, here's one for you. So you get to interact with Wrestler a little bit. Why does Wrestler's character always seem like he's the brunt of all the jokes? The whole first season there was like this drinking game because every time Wrestler got punched in the face, everybody was taking drinks or something, and then you find out that the guy's got a poor addiction problem, and then we're all like, oh man, we shouldn't be playing a drinking game. That seems wrong.
Well, I know. I mean, and even still now in season 3, we always joke. I mean, Wrestler always gets. I think he fights the most, and he always either gets beat up or gets a scar. Or I know for the first and second season, Wrestler got beat up a lot. He got beat up a ton.
He did.
In the third season, he just became everybody. He had to be a douchebag to go after Liz. So, that just put a target on him. But the funny thing is he's actually a really funny, cool guy, man. He's probably the jokester of the whole family.
Does he know that his hair never moves? That's an ongoing joke with Troy and I, because every time I see an episode, I'm like, man, he has the most magnificent hair product because it never moves.
Yeah, he's laying in the middle of a cornfield. He's got the tie outside the Kevlar, but yet his hair is like perfectly like.
Yes.
Except this past episode, it moved, and I was like, I felt like his hair got emotional.
That hair is a very important part of his character.
It's beautiful. Yeah. Troy, are we at the end?
I don't think a lot of people talked about the Salomon pool ball scene. Like, what was that like for you guys to actually act that out? Because, I mean, you got the makeup job on, and it looks like you're pretty bad in that situation. How do you guys go through a scene like that? How much are you involved versus the stunt doubles? Maybe talk through that a little bit.
Well, I don't have a. The funny thing, that's why John asked me about my shoulder, was I don't use a stunt double, and I tore my rotator cuff a couple episodes ago. So I'm still recovering from that. So I just might have to start using a stunt double. But that scene, I mean, that even though it looked pretty gruesome, it was pretty easy. I mean, they switch out for safety, you see them putting real pool balls in the sock. But when he strikes me, they switch the sock out with something with foam in it. So even if there's an accident of him hitting me, it's not going to hurt. But that was pretty simple scene to do. It wasn't any type of physical activity where I was just laying there and he was just swinging this sock at me. It was pretty simple.
I guess the real question then is, how long does it take you to actually make a spoon-handled Shiv?
I think that might have been a day, right? I think I got it sharpened pretty quick.
Somebody, Coors fan 26. Oh, before I get to this, I got to ask you. You said you're a football fan. Who are you a fan of?
Steelers, baby.
You don't follow him on Twitter, man? He was like going crazy on Saturday night. He was like, "What? We just went on."
Listen, I was at this bar watching. I go to this place and watch all the games, and I had some crazy Patriots fans behind me who were just hating because they wanted to hate, and they were girls too. And it got to the point where the game shifted, and I was like, I don't know how I'm going to be able to walk out of this bar with these girls behind me. Like, they're girls. I can't really say much to them. So when the game ended, I just turned around, I put my hat on, and walked out. And they were extremely pissed off. But, I'm a Steelers fan, man. We got a tough game. We've been out in the running backs.
Is he out?
Right now it's questionable. Brown is questionable. So we got a hard matchup also with Denver. So we'll see what happens.
That was an ugly hit on Brown.
Absolutely.
Man, that was go penalties. That was a great game to watch.
I know. That great time, especially when and I'm glad I made the choice to go out and watch it as opposed to being at home. Like when you're out in that energy, it just really makes the experience much better.
Well, I'm sure because you've got the last minute, and I'm sure people are like, talk about the Blacklist, but this is more important. It's football. So you've got the last minute where you as a Steeler fan are just ready to cash it in. It's done. And then stupidity happens, and you're like, I would just rub it in everyone's face. It's a great moment as a football fan.
Well, Aaron, I'm not going to speak for Aaron, but Aaron and I are both Packer fans, so we're obviously cheering for Pittsburgh this go around because we're both coming in as wild cards, and we know what happened in 2010. We're hoping that we can both get back to the big dance. So we're big Pittsburgh fans because I think our fate's tied to you guys.
I like Tomlin. Tomlin's a great guy. He's just so cool as a coach, and he's just like happens. It's just, whatever it is, it's just like happens. Coors fan 26 says, "How are stunt doubles used in the show? Who has them? How often are they used? And how are the scenes filmed when they are used?"
Everybody has a stunt double except for me, Aram.
Don't?
I mean, everyone has a stunt double.
But not you?
I don't have one. Aram doesn't have one. And I don't think Tom has one. And for the most part, you do the scene, and then if somebody has to get thrown on the ground or something like that, then they'll switch out the person.
Fernanda Barbarata asked, do you have any movies that you've done, or do you have any plans to do any movies?
It's really tough. I would love to, but Blacklist is a 10-month shoot. So we start the end of July, and we don't finish until May the following year. So I have about 2 months off. So by that time, especially when I was working in the fire department, I was just too exhausted to do anything else. But I would like to, but also being series regular, there's certain, it's very hard to do anything else. Like I can only do 3 guest star roles and everything go through the channels to be cleared for me to even do it. I would like to do something, but for the most part, I'm trying to rest and get ready for the next season. I mean, if I can do like little indie film here, a short role here, but even if I do that, I have to shoot on the weekend, and that takes away from my resting time. So right now, it's extremely hard to fit a lot of other projects in.
We didn't get to talk about your family yet, so we get to meet your daughter and granddaughter in season 3.
Mm-hmm.
So the big question, of course, is there a Mrs. Dembe?
I will hope there has to be, right? If I have a daughter,
per my experience, no.
Yeah, that's something I'm kind of looking forward to, hoping they explore more of. I would like to see the daughter come back. I would like to see the mother. I think that's all it's very interesting to watch, and it would definitely put a little twist into how Dembe, shares his time. So we'll see what happens. I know I would definitely like to see it.
I hope that comes up again soon. I actually like that end of it because there's so much violence and focus on Red and Liz. It was nice to see an angle of the story that wasn't around that as much.
Yeah. So, I mean, I almost hit the roof when I first read the first episode and I saw that. So I was extremely excited. So I really hope it's explored.
I got a question. If you could do as you, Hisham, you could exact your revenge on Eddie's character, Mr. Salomon, any way you want. So the story's out of it. You're not spoiling anything. What you would do, what would you do? I want to hear how bad you go.
Well, I was thinking about that the other day, and then I was like, Dembe is a peaceful guy, but then I was like, he messed with my family. He messed with my daughter. He messed with my granddaughter, and it would have to be slow. I haven't figured that out yet. I just know it would be slow. I can't even say that I would have to go after his family because I don't think Dembe's like that. I think there would have to be a way for me to really make him sorry for his actions, but in a more intellectual way as opposed to a violent way.
I think you're being soft. I think you would torch that poor guy. Sarah Aiello wants to know, what time does a typical day start and end?
Typical day starts around 7 a.m. Crew call is probably 7. I probably usually come in around 8. You know, you do makeup for about an hour. You do a rehearsal. So the day starts at probably 10. And for the most part, they try to do 10-hour days. So we're usually done at around, 8, 9, 10 o'clock. First season, we were going to midnight almost every day. We were doing 12 and 15-hour days. Ooh. But I think we started doing tandems. The machine started rolling. They added a camera. So things started moving a little more quicker. So now it's a much easier schedule now. It's probably from 7 to 7, 8 to 8, 10-hour days.
When you go from very physical jobs previous to this, is that a big shift for you? Or is it a pleasant surprise? Or does a guy like you get very bored? Like, let's do something, guys. Because I know there's a lot of standing around and waiting in acting.
Yeah, there's a lot of standing around and waiting, but this is a joy for me, man. My last 20 years was, of course, I like action. I like ripping and running, but I can take this. This is a pleasure to do. So, you sit around and you get up and do stuff, but I'll take that over what I was doing for the last 20 years.
You got one to wrap it up on?
All right, and we'll go one more here. So what is I'm going to kind of tweak this question a little bit. So what is the biggest prank you've pulled on someone on the cast, and what is the biggest prank that's been pulled on you?
The cast doesn't really do pranks. We're not a big prank. The closest thing I did is I went to our mayor's workstation and I videotaped myself playing around on his computer, and I posted it on my Instagram. But that's the closest I've done. But for the most part, we don't really. I think most of the grips and they do more pranks on each other than the cast. We don't really do any pranks on each other.
Well, we're going to wrap it up here, guys. Thanks so much. Aaron and I will stick around for a little bit. We're going to let Hisham go because he's got a busy day tomorrow. What are you guys filming now? You guys are filming 13 or 14?
Right now we're shooting 14. Yeah, we're shooting 14 and 15 starts Tuesday.
Oh,
okay.
No rest for the weary.
Well, yeah. Thanks so much for coming by. I know that's a lot of your time.
Thank you for having me, man. It's been a pleasure.
You
Appreciate
bet.
it.
Hopefully we talk
Come
again
back soon.
All right.
Whoa, that was great, man. Absolutely great. I love talking to Hisham and John popping in for a little surprise visit. I thought that was pretty fantastic. What did you think about the interview?
This is probably one of the most fun I've had in a long time. It was just so great getting to see some of the fans coming in too, asking their questions. It was just a really great event. We actually will have the video of this if you want to see our smiling faces. It'll be a little bit different than the audio version, of course, because video is live and we cut some stuff out for the audio portion. But you can check out the video over at the website, theblacklistexposed.com, for episode 50. And you can watch the video embed there if you'd like. But one of the things I thought was really fun about this was just learning how interesting it is, the dynamic between James Spader and Hisham and the way that James approaches his acting. I thought that was a really great sequence in there. He's talking about how he asks Hisham about his family, his job. He just wants to know Hisham as a person. And then because he knows him as a person, he has a better connection with him in the character moments on screen when you talk about those chemistry tests and how things are portraying, which clearly shows because Dembe is the only person that I think other than Kaplan that knows the whole truth. And it especially with that caretaker episode recently, you can really show on the screen, the dynamic between the two of them, that even though Dembe said something that pissed off Red's just kind of like, just drive the car.
Yeah, and I always like to hear, because when you see shows like this, and you have a character that's very stoic. Dembe is prominent in many episodes, but he doesn't get much dialogue. So you don't really get a feel for how the portrayal is going, any character tics and stuff like that. We notice visible ones, but you don't really get a lot of the in-depth feel you might, because Kaplan has more dialogue to establish her relationship with Red. With Dembe, you're going a lot more off physical interaction. And here, to hear the actor here, Hisham, actually spend a little bit of time explaining how his take on it is, how his relationship with Spader is, and that sort of thing. It really does bring everything full circle in my mind. So I have a better idea of the character as a whole, how he's approaching the character, how we should be taking the character. I love getting that kind of insight from an actor, and especially, you know, also hearing about him and his personal history and, you know, what the prominence of New York to him. I mean, in terms of he spent his life there and fighting fires and whatnot.
Yeah, and the other thing that was really interesting was when he talked about how the character itself actually wasn't a character. So they actually brought him on once after the pilot was shot, and it was actually Spader who came in and said, hey, you know what, I think Red needs a gang. Red needs like a posse to go around fighting the crime and shooting the bad guys with. And it was really Spader who actually was able to make the part happen, and then Hisham just got the opportunity to read for it, and you know, after that, everything is what we see. And I think that's just really cool that, you know, and John even talked about it when we interviewed John earlier before on episode 39, that, you know, this was a character that Red takes deep care of and actually writes some of the dialogue because he has that personal connection with Hisham. It's really good.
It's great. It's absolutely great. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. You know, obviously this is a tiding over period. You know, hopefully this will tide you over until the show comes back and gives you a little bit more background into the character himself. And I can't remember because I haven't listened to it since the Blab event, but did he actually talk about the any episodes that have aired now? I can't remember.
So they were talking about filming 14 and 15, and I love how it was funny listening to John just kind of drop stuff in this back in January. Mm-hmm. And he was talking about, I was looking to, like, we were talking about the music and the playlists and Dembe's playlist and Kaplan's playlist, and John was like, I was thinking when I was listening to Kaplan's playlist, like, how would she listen to this music? And that's when she got this tape recorder Walkman and put it on, and of course that was the episode with the hitman that come in and kill her cleaning crew. So it was funny to like see how much he actually dropped in this interview back in January when we recorded it originally, and how much actually came to be on the screen. It was pretty funny.
Absolutely. This is a fun episode. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. I think that's going to do it for this episode of the Blacklist Exposed. We are going to be coming back soon. Like Troy said, Blacklist, what is it?
April 7th for the shows, so we'll be on the 9th.
So be sure to visit our partner Blacklist site, theblacklistnbc.com.
Also, a quick note to leave a review on iTunes. We really appreciate that. It helps out the show, lets us know what you like about us and about the feedback that we're getting from all of the callers that call in and Facebook groups. Also, remember, we were a top 10 entertainment finalist last year for the Podcast Awards, and the Podcast Awards are supposed to be coming up here sometime late April, early May, so we'll be sure to let you all know when that voting begins in just a few weeks.
Absolutely. That's going to conclude this episode. Be sure to follow us on Twitter this season at the Blacklist GSM, where we live tweet during the East Coast feed, and we use the show's hashtag, The Blacklist. We also have a Facebook group to search for The Blacklist Exposed and join us for the fun. I also want to say thank you to Hisham for spending that time talking to us. I know he took time out of his schedule to do that for the fans. Greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, and thanks to John, too, for popping in with his mother-in-law waiting in the house. That's always a scary proposition to decide to come talk to us or talk to your mother-in-law.
Well, no, I can honestly, I think that I got an easy solution on that one for my life. But
intel from you is what we want, and we greatly appreciate it. You can do that a few ways. Submit it right in here to the Blacklist Exposed via Tumblr, Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter, as Aaron mentioned. Or you can go over to theblacklistexposed.com. We have your phone numbers up there, as well as a great button. You can just push that right from your mobile phone, and it'll record a voicemail and send it into us. Love to hear from you, and especially as we get closer to that April 7th Red Wedding.
And if I wasn't clear enough, I would totally rather talk to you guys or John or even Troy than my mother-in-law. Yeah, that's what I meant. That's what I said. They don't listen to this podcast. All right, you can also subscribe to the podcast in iTunes, leave us a review, listen from the website. If you're really on the go, make sure you download that app. You will also find all the intel and analysis about this episode by visiting theblacklistexposed.com. Big thanks for listening. Don't forget to answer our profiling question for our return podcast on April 7th. Will Liz and Tom actually get married? Dun, dun, dun.
Interesting to see how this plays out, because we know what the title is of that episode.
I'm hoping it's like Kill Bill. That's really what I'm going for.
It better be like Kill Bill based on who's the blacklister.
Shh. I'm really mad that somebody told me, but now I know. So try to avoid that.
Try to avoid it. It's a big spoiler.
Yeah, it's a big spoiler. All right, guys, take care.
Until next time, I'm Agent Troy Heinritz. That's at Troy Heinritz on Twitter. And if you want to learn more about me, just visit, about.me/Troy Heinritz.
And I'm Agent Aaron Peterson. You can hear me talking about movies and TV on the Hollywood Outsider podcast, as well as Remake This Movie Right. We are available at thehollywoodoutsider.com or on Twitter at H_outsider. Be sure to subscribe, download the app, submit your feedback. But most importantly, keep yourself off of
The Blacklist.
The Blacklist Exposed is a Golden Spiral Media production. Find more of our great podcasts at goldenspiralmedia.com/podcasts.